Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. I just had a call and I swear I could just do human design all day long. And I said that to her. I was like, I could have a call back to back and then at midnight be like, is anybody else want to talk about human design? I love it so much and I cannot get enough of it. And a huge part of that is just the sheer depth that one can go into with this. So, in my mind, when I first came across human design, it was like, oh my gosh, I can use this for myself. I can use this for my kids. I can use it for my relationship. And all those things are true. But then my mind went straight to businesses. And in particular, people who are soul-led businesses, soul-led entrepreneurs, healers, practitioners. For me, what I've really come to realize is, so I do have a background in craniosacral therapy and Reiki and massage. But my path just led me into having a foot in both worlds. So I do like intuitive led healing, but then I'm also like strategy in business. And so I'm like kind of both at the same time, which is one of the strengths that I bring to my sessions. And I'm super excited about that. So basically, I get to help healers go out in the world and create more and make a bigger splash so that they go on to heal more people. And we all know in this world right now, like that's definitely what people need. So I love that ties into what my purpose is. And also at the end of the day, the mission here is everybody needs to know their human design. So that's the other component. And that's also why you'll catch me talking about human design all day, because I'm just like, oh my gosh, if you don't know it, you need to know it. So let's just start with, I would love to hear what it is that you do and what you want your business to feel like. What do you want to feel like it comes easily to you? So for me, one example of this was basically that I am actually really good at recording courses and things like that. And so before I had human design in my back pocket, I was like certain that I was going to record courses and people were going to download them and people were going to learn stuff. And also it was kind of like, am I going to do, I could do French, I could do yoga, I could do music, like what I could do farming and gardening or homeschooling. Like, what is it that I'm going to pick and do? What I really noticed though is from my gene keys, so from the work that I've done and from my own chart, was that I'm actually like, yes, I can make a course and that's awesome, but I'm not actually meant to. I'm actually meant to do one-on-one high touch containers that, I get to dive down deep into somebody's business with them, alongside them, and uncover what their purpose is and what their business wants them to heal and how their business wants to unfold. So what I want it to feel like for me is basically, I live close to a town here, and I could, with human design, it's just like, it's just about to be what everybody knows and everybody's talking about. And I could totally be the human design girl here locally. But I notice when I drive into town, it makes me really anxious because it's like, oh man, what am I going to do with my kids? And I got to have everything all ready. And so diving into one-on-one calls is the opposite. Like, I'm always really excited about it. Everything always happens just magically in a session. And one of my favorite parts is when somebody's like listening and we're talking, and then they take their pen and their notebook and they just like scribble something down super fast because we just had like a huge breakthrough. So yeah, that's definitely the example for me. Now, and I want to say, I know that most of you here, if you're coming from the Facebook group, you are not a beginner. You've done a ton of healing and a ton of inner work, and you've probably already started your business, but something still feels off. And I just want to say that as I dive into this work alongside you in the group or in sessions, I totally respect where it is that you are and the work that you've already done and this deep healing that's already taken place. My favorite sessions are when I get to work with heart-led entrepreneurs who have absolutely done this deep work. So we get to immediately dive into the deep end with them in their sessions. And they're just like, yeah, give me more. And it was the same for me too. I'd done a lot of deep work and it was like, when I first came across human design, I'm like, I'm good. I know who I am. But you just have to try it out because the language it's just very potent, and it gets you just super directed in a direction that you may have already been going in if you've been doing deep work, but you may not have already been going in. And so basically what I've said earlier in my live this week is for me, what it was like was that I have me where I am whenever I'm like, oh, human design, what is this? And then you have yourself in alignment. And so once you find it, you just have this little journey that you go on where you're like trying to make your way over towards your alignment and standing in your alignment and understanding what that feels like now. So that's truly what we're going to talk about, because when you make your way to your alignment, that's when you are magnetic. And I'm talking like, clients book and then message you magnetic. So we all get handed this, I feel like it's like a manual for how to do business. And maybe it came with your Reiki training, or maybe you took courses, but it's all like, here's how you do it. And it's like, okay, yeah, everything works for somebody, but that's probably not how you do it. And so the biggest thing here is really honing in on what works for you, but also it makes you feel amazing, and it makes your business successful, and it makes you feel amazing. And then you start snowballing in that direction instead of, you can absolutely be successful in your business without this information, but I always see that it comes with an energetic cost. It might be your health, it might be burnout, it might just be stress. Or sometimes, I talk to people and it's like, I can just see them kind of looking around their business and being like, do I even like this anymore? And yeah, on paper, it's successful. But when we bring in human design and gene keys with this, we get to do it all. We get to have our cake and eat it too. So I didn't know it at the time, but I'm a generator, and I was showing up for years in my business in my what you call not self theme. But basically, I didn't know that. And on paper, it's like I was doing all the right things. I was on all the platforms. I was showing up. I was consistent. And I'm just like hitting my head against a wall. Like, why is this not working? This should be working. It just all still felt off. And then I had major things in my business that I really didn't love. Doing things that are like, I really don't feel like I have the time for. I can make the time, but somewhere in my body, I was just feeling like this feels off to me. And just seeing zero success, like none. Like I couldn't even find an audience, and I was bouncing around from like this platform to that one, and where am I supposed to be? And I kept thinking I needed more strategy. And that was another component. I'm like, one more course or one more coach or one more. And so I actually got myself into debt, just like trying to find, because I knew I was here to do something, but it was like pulling me towards it. And I'm like, what is it? I'm trying to find you. I need more strategy. And so, all this different strategy, well, lo and behold, now that serves me well, because I get to help people in their human design find what strategy works for them. And I've been exposed to lots of different strategies, but it took me finding my human design and my gene keys to learn what my strategy actually was. And come to find out what I really needed was just to get out of my own way and set aside all those shoulds. And that's when I really got into human design and gene keys, and something really cool happened. Everything just started coming straight to me, like handed to me. And I kept getting shown in my business how easy and simple it could be. And one of my favorite things about human design and gene keys, and you'll hear me say that a lot, because there's a lot of things that I really love about human design and gene keys, is it has this way of validating what you knew about yourself, but you didn't realize was maybe unique to you or your superpower. So for me, it's this random thing that I do in a conversation where I'll just like pull something back from 15 minutes ago and be like, oh, hey, here's this. And then I pull it back because my brain wants to complete the pattern, and it wants to put the puzzle piece in place. So when I dove into my gene keys, there it is in my branding sphere. It's like, girl, that's your business. That's what you do. And so actually that's how I explain what I do. So that's really when everything clicked for me. It was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so much easier because I have the language, I have the messaging, I have what it is that I actually do. And it's all right here in my chart. So it's all feeding back into my life's purpose and my heart's biggest desire. And it gets to be simple and easy. And it's like all these dream things about our business that we come to believe aren't possible, but I'm standing here telling you that they are. So from there, I started bringing that work in more and more with healers. And I noticed that most of us don't have a strategy problem. It's not more courses and more coaching. It's a self-trust problem. And those coaches and courses, they don't know your human design. And if they don't know your human design, it feels like, they need to take a step back and learn some human design. So you basically have your skills and talents that you probably already know about vaguely, that we just push to the front, and then those are the parts of you that we build community around, or that we market or message around. And that's why the marketing and the sales, it's like you're just inviting people over to hang out with you at that point. It's like it doesn't feel like sales and it doesn't feel like marketing. So a huge component of what's blocking your magnetism is basically, if you know this stuff already, and again, as healers, there's a really good chance that you're so close to knowing it. What I get to do in a session is I get to dive into the deep end with somebody who's so close to knowing it, or they already figured it out. But when I have this tool that maps out their unique design and I get to reflect that back to them, it's just like a little ding. And they're like, just fall into this chasm of like complete self-trust at that point. Like, I already knew this and you just told me what I already knew. Now I get to move on my path knowing that I know. Even though we already did, it's still just really helpful to get the language and the anchors that you need to just be solid and grounded and firm in that self-trust as you move through your business. So that's what I'm saying is, sometimes we already know that stuff, but we override ourselves. We're second guessing. We're waiting around or looking at everybody else, or asking our mom or our friend or our husband again and again and again. And when we do that, we are standing in lack. And it makes us not love these parts of our business, marketing and messaging and sales. And when we're standing in lack and looking outside of ourselves for answers, we can't stand solidly in who we are. And that drains your magnetism immediately. And that disconnect, your people totally feel. So that's most likely why clients aren't coming straight to you yet. Your messaging is probably confusing, and you're just not clear and certain in your own mind of what it is you're here to do. And that's what this work absolutely helps with. So this aspect of the work in human design is called self-mastery. And I'm going to dive into that here for a second and into what that means for each type. So I'm a generator, and us generators, we actually fall into what I would call the brat category. We're kind of brats. We kind of get to be. We aren't brats in our not selves. In our not selves, we're spread too thin and we're people pleasing and we are giving joy to everyone but ourselves. But in our alignment, we actually get to be brats, which is so funny. It's like, do you want this or do you want this? And we're like, that. But that's so true. So the biggest thing for a generator in their business is you want to be able to relax into your body. You want to be able to sit back and let things come to you. And then you trust in your authority, sacral or emotional, to say yes or to say no. So in actuality, we are magnetic in and of ourselves. We're already drawing things towards us. We're already pulled towards things. But what the information generators need right now in this moment, if you don't already have it, is you need to feel joy. So we all have our sacral center defined, which means that we have this consistent access to this energy. So if I'm doing something that I love, think about me in human design. I can do it all day. I'm going to be magnetic because I love what I do and I can't stop talking about it. And I want you to know about it and I want you to know about it. And so that's kind of what it looks like for a generator whenever we're turned on and excited by life. The opposite is also true. Our magnetism is drained when we said yes to something that our body said no to. And that's a muscle that we have to strengthen, and it comes with time and practice, but it can absolutely be done. The other thing with us is that we have a really warm aura that brings people in really easily into our lives. And so it's really easy for us to be like, sure, whenever our body's like, mm-mm. And as you start to hone in on, especially that sacral response, that or it comes really quick, but you have to listen to it. And I've been working through this for years, and I'm telling you, I still have this moment where I'm like, your brain just scoops in right away, and it's like, oh, but we don't want to hurt her feelings, and we don't want, and it's like, let's all remember that clear communication is kind communication, and move forward from there. So the other thing I really want to say, because this is also going to apply to manifesting generators. This is so basically, you have a vote, right? Energetically. And it feels to me, I get this sense that source or God consciousness, this 3D, this 3D hologram in front of us is basically like, for generators and manifesting generators, it's like, hi, do you want this or this? Do you want this? And if you say yes and you don't mean it, you're going to get more of what drains you. You're going to get more of what you don't love and what doesn't bring you joy. If you say yes and it does bring you joy, guess what you get more of? So that's a huge component to remember, because it's really a huge reason to continue doing this work. And when we don't do that, we're just going to feel spread thin. And a lot of times we get used to not feeling joy. And I feel like the antithesis of joy for a generator is obligation. Doing something because technically you have the energy to, but that does not mean that you should. And so that just means we're going to pull more of what we don't want towards us. So seriously, most of the time we want to get out of our way and relax into who we are and what we're understanding from our human design. So manifesting generators are very similar, but they have this other component. They're like a hybrid between a generator and a manifestor. So they are going to have either emotional or sacral authority, which are kind of two different things in a different conversation, but they're going to be multi-passionate. So they have that sacral energy that goes and goes and goes and goes and goes, and they want to do it to stuff that they love, but they're going to have a few more irons in the fire. So, what they always say about manifesting generators is that you're going to have 8 projects that you're working on, and only 2 were ever meant to be finished. The other ones were just kind of to just burn off energy. What I see a lot with manifesting generators is kind of, it's a really good example of the conditioning that we have to decondition, and that's part of the self-mastery and human design. But what I'm seeing with manifesting generators is a potential childhood, a potential inner child wound, where basically your entire life, people on the outside looking in are like, why don't you stick with anything? Or you need to finish that this time. You need to and if it's a need or a should, like, it's probably coming from somebody else's voice. And when manifesting generators hear that for the first time, they're always like, oh my gosh, yes, like that is the component that I needed, because this is how I am naturally operating, but I'm telling myself it's not the right thing, but it feels like the right thing, but I shouldn't do it. And so whenever you relax into that and you let it be, and on top of that, in your business, you can even show yourself in that process. That can be truly magnetic for you. And just giving yourself permission to come back to what feels natural and good for you. So having said that, this is my tip for manifesting generators. Try to keep the changes, so your starts and stops and your pivots, try to keep those as best as you can in back of house, so you can still make those changes and pivots, but your audience isn't confused. And then majorly, you want to just let go of what other people think. And like I said, you can show your nature in business, and that will magnetize people to you. And what you're looking for, manifesting generators, is a sense of satisfaction. And you'll know you're in your not self when you feel frustrated. Moving on to projectors. I love projectors. I love cozying up to them and being like, tell me what you see. My husband's a projector, and I realize now that that's what I love about him. So you can think about them as basically being like at the top of the tower or at the top of the building, and they can see out far and wide. They can see things that the rest of us can't see. Also, they don't have that sacral defined, and so they have a limited amount of energy. It's not that they have no energy, but they just have this much. So it's like this much energy is meant to come in and come out and be precise and get things done. So the 40-hour work week really doesn't work for a projector because they can get everything done in like a day. But that energy is really precious, so you don't want to waste it. And to make sure you don't waste it, you must wait for the invitation. And then also, you really want to stop valuing yourself according to generator and manifesting generator standards, like how much you produce. You have complete permission to rest. You have permission to come in, do what you do, come out, go take a nap, be away from people for a while. So your insights are where you have value, and what you see is your value. And basically, you're meant to walk into a room full of people and just know that you don't need anything from anybody. So if you are seeking external validation or waiting for people to recognize what's inside you or what you see, your magnetism is never going to come. They will never give that to you. You have to have it and see it yourself. And what I notice is that particularly projectors, they sense and know these things because they sense and know so much. So when they come to human design, it's a major validation. Like they totally get the words to anchor what it is that they've always known. And that's always a big moment. If you don't have this language and you don't have this information first, there's potential of you showing up in bitterness in your business or with your family. And if you're not careful, this is your not self, is the bitterness. And if you're not careful, that will pop right up and bring in more bitterness. And it's, again, like if we're talking about being magnetic in your business, like how can you be magnetic in that state? So you want to absolutely preserve and honor the rest that you need. And remember that you're part of a really small population, and what you see is what the rest of us need. Next, we have manifestors. So manifestors, you're just going to have to get comfortable with leadership. So you basically know that you can't not be the leader, but you have to get comfortable being the leader and staying away from your anger and pushing, because you will not be magnetic in that moment. But you are not designed to chase. You put out a vision and then you're recognized for it, and you have to not care what other people think. And then again, human design is also giving you this language for what you've already sensed and known your whole life, that you're not a follower, and that never works for you. And then also you want to be careful, again, comparing yourself. This is a small percentage of the population. So comparing yourself to the generators and manifesting generators with this warm, inviting aura, that's just not how you're designed. And there's no right or wrong. It's just understanding what's true for you. So the mistake here, as far as magnetism goes, would be trying to be nicer, quieter, softer, kinder. That's just not your aura. Your aura is kind of meant to go in there and shake things up a bit so that you can pull out the people who are meant for you. So definitely keep that in mind. And last but not least, we have our reflectors, which is, I believe, like 1% of the population. But they are near and dear to us still. You probably know a reflector somewhere, but probably just one. So reflectors are amazing at pulling out these deep insights about life and the world. But their biggest hurdle tends to be trying to be the same all the time, trying to be uniform. You want to think of yourself like water and stay fluid with where you are in the moment and show the rest of us what we need to see. But that can take up all of your energy. So same as the projectors, it's totally okay for you to take that time to be on your own and to regenerate those energy reserves without people around, because it can be a lot for you. So people love for you to reflect themselves back to them, but you just don't have the same energy reserves as us sacral beings, the generators and the mani-gens. So that can be exhausting for you. Make sure you prioritize your own energy and allow yourself time to honor what it is that you need. And on top of that, these are the types that really benefit from understanding the transits and being in tune with the planets and the astrology and what's happening. This has a huge effect on you. So you really want to be in tune with that as best as you can if you're not already. So the other thing that's blocking our magnetism is trying to do business the right way. And it's funny because I'll have this conversation with clients that come in, and it's so obvious that we can build our business any way that we want, but we get stuck in this paradigm that's like, it has to be like this. And it absolutely does not. So, forcing content or using strategies from a course that was really successful for somebody else, or even just losing your voice or your sense of self, your business should absolutely feel like an extension of you. And all those feelings will come back to your design again and again because your body is trying to guide you through this. And I love reminding my clients that this is their business and it gets to look however it looks for their unique wisdom and the wisdom that their body is asking from them. So when we have our charts by our side, with these words as anchors and just this deeper understanding, the permission, the awareness of our truth, we can actually relax. And that's a huge part of the process that ties into my next point. So the last thing that's keeping you from being magnetic is that you may be aware, like with all that deep inner work that we talked about, you may totally know this stuff already, but are you embodying it? Are you feeling it and sensing it popping up in your field? And almost the only way to come to human design is in our heads, like thinking about what it needs to be or what I said or what we understand or what we don't understand. But it's all really about pulling that back into your body and relaxing into it, getting comfortable enough with it and understanding it well enough to have it be seamless. These ideas are meant to help us understand the communication we're receiving from our bodies. And when we practice that and feel into it, we can release what's not ours and what was never for us and come back to that truth. And it's so much shedding. It's so much more shedding than you would think it is. Again, if you've done the deep healing, you probably know. But this work is our business and our surroundings, our relationships, our parenting turned fully inward instead of outward. And so we're standing on solid ground, totally unshakable because we're certain of who we are and what we want and what we came here to do and what that's going to look like. But I know that you're so close to owning these things on your own, but you just haven't fully trusted it yet. So when you trust it, you can relax into it. And when you can relax into it, who you are through and through, people cannot help but be attracted to that and magnetized to it. And that's really the next piece. The next piece is to play and experiment with this information. So what I love is human design for awareness, showing you where your shadows are, showing you what the gifts are and where we might get stuck and where we might want to work our way through, or it shows you the work that you've even already done. I love EFT tapping to clear out the negativity, anxiety, fear, need for control, and really Gene Keys really bring in the embodiment aspect. And this is absolutely the work I do. So first, we go through your human design and the awareness so you can see yourself clearly and understand yourself clearly. Then we go into the deconditioning. EFT is one of my favorites, but we have a few other techniques for that just to really bring it into your field and into your body and out of your head. So it's really becoming an actual practice for you. And that removes the fear and the patterns and the loops that are keeping you stuck. And then we dive into calibration through Gene Keys. So embodying who you are, and that's where things really become really magnetic, because in your Gene Keys, so it's kind of like you have your astrology, then you have human design that's pulling from astrology, and then Gene Keys that's pulling from human design, which is pulling from astrology. So no offense to astrology at all. For me, it's never pulled me into it the way the human design has been like, okay, here I come. So if we're so used to doing this healing work and we do it for others and we've done it for ourselves, like, why is it so hard to do it in our business? And I can tell you that's because your system overrides what your conscious mind desires. Your subconscious is running the show, and you're probably aware of that. And then it's like, we do those deep dives to see like, oh, what's here? And it's like, whoop, it went and hid. It can be really hard to figure out on your own why your body's putting the brakes on what you are afraid of, what you're actually afraid of, and how it's popping up, and then what to do next. So having someone who can see what you're missing in the moment because you're just too close to it can be incredibly helpful. And I want to say something really clearly. This work, it's not surface level, and I'm not the coach for somebody who just wants to put more strategy in. I've got your strategy. I love getting into strategy, but I'm really here for the heart-led soulpreneur that knows how powerful they are, and they've already done the deep work and they know they're this close. They just need one tiny little push to be totally self-aware, but they're totally ready for that next layer. Because what we're doing together is not just business strategy, but it's there also with your chart and your tools right here next to us. So it turns into real-time calibration, looking at your business and the patterns, but we're side by side. And it's an honest conversation about what's actually happening. And that's not coming from judgment, it's coming from truth. And your human design and gene keys, they give us the map that we need to see what's true. And it's not what I think you need. I might have some opinions and some ideas, but what we're really pulling that from is what's already there and what's ready to be seen. So, yeah, sometimes that brings things up, like moments where your nervous system wants to, especially around money and investment, moments where old patterns show up, especially around visibility and social media. And none of that is failure. And the containers with me in my sessions, you can probably tell from that already, it's a safe place. It's a safe place to explore, and it's a safe place to dive in deep. That's the work. That's your business as medicine. And that's what I can do all day long, and I never get tired of it. And what I'm looking for is someone who doesn't run from that. Somebody who turns towards it and is like, okay, let's go. Because that's where everything shifts. And your business actually starts working because you're standing in your alignment and you're feeling magnetic, and your clients know that you're magnetic and they want to be magnetic too. And I don't own human design. There's a good chance that you'd want to bring human design into your business also. And then at that point, your business actually starts working. But like we said earlier, not just working, it starts feeling amazing and feeling aligned, and you feel aligned, and your relationships are easier, and all this stuff starts to fall into place. We're not banging our head against the wall anymore. It's the opposite. The floodgates open. We're sitting by the pool and letting the server know if we want tea or coffee. So your business actually even feels like something you want to keep building instead of something that sucks the life out of you. It's actually pouring life back into you. You're like, I can't wait to do more. This is my life's purpose. When I get done with this session, I'm just like, thank you so much. This is what I get to do, and my whole heart is in it. And I had a client say to me recently how beautiful this work is. And I told her, honestly, it's because you allowed it. It's because of the deep work that you've already done that let you get to this point here. And she is willing to go deeper, and I'm right there with her, and I'm so excited. But that's the difference, and that's the person that this is for. So it's for the person who knows they're meant for more. They're tired of second guessing. They're this close to knowing all of it, and they're ready to move straight into that. So inside working with me, you'll fully trust how you make decisions, and you'll understand exactly how you attract clients. You'll know exactly what to focus on, and you'll feel calm, clear, and certain, unshakable. And it's not surface level. This is where things lock in. So honestly, if you're tired of feeling shaky and uncertain, and like you're just almost there and you don't know how much longer you can take it, and if you're done asking everyone else what they think, and you're ready to feel calm and locked in and unshakable, like you're on solid ground, I want for you to comment magnetic, or you can DM me magnetic, and I'll send you all the details. Having said that, I would love to see if anybody has any questions at all. You can type them into the chat. I'll give you a second here. And I just want to reiterate that you are not far from this at all. You are probably so close. That's what I want you to leave with, that you're not missing something. You just haven't fully trusted yourself yet. Okay, so if we don't have any questions, I'm going to jump off of here. Again, If you are interested in diving into this work deeper with me, you're going to comment magnetic, or you can DM me magnetic. Either way, I'll catch up with you. We'll chat about it and figure out the best way to get you started in a way that feels amazing for you. Just so you know, if you have emotional authority, go ahead and pull your chart up and take a look, because if you have emotional authority, you actually want to give yourself some time before you make that decision. And that's a huge component in business too, is giving yourself that time to go completely through your emotional wave before you make a decision. So thank you so much for being with me today. I love this stuff so much. And, for you to trust me in a session and to dive into this stuff it's such a huge honor for me. And I don't take that lightly. And I make sure that I show up and completely match that energy. So I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you inside the group, or we can set up a call to chat super soon. Okay, thank you.